Right now, across 10 different countries, employers are running out of people to hire. And they've landed on the same solution: Filipino workers. Not as a backup plan, but as the actual fix. Italy just approved nearly 500,000 foreign work visas through 2028. Japan's Filipino workforce just hit a record high. Germany is staring down a shortage of 16 million workers by 2060. This isn't a trend, it's a scramble. So here's a question before we start. If you had to choose based purely on opportunity, not distance from home, which region would you pick? The Gulf, Europe, or Asia Pacific? Comment your answer below. Let's begin at number 10. Country 10, Kuwait. Kuwait has quietly become one of the more overlooked destinations on this list, but the numbers tell a different story. Around 6% of all deployed OFWs are already working there, mostly in domestic services, engineering, and construction. What keeps Kuwait in the conversation is the tax advantage. Salaries stay largely untouched by deductions, which means more of every paycheck actually makes it home. Established Filipino communities have been building there for decades, which smooths the transition for new arrivals in ways newer destinations simply can't match yet. It's not flashy, but it's stable. And stability, as you'll see, is only the starting point. Number 9 raises the stakes considerably. Country 9, United Arab Emirates. The now hosts over 12% of all OFWs deployed worldwide, spread across healthcare, hospitality, construction, and retail. And salaries there routinely outpace what the same job would pay back home, tax-free. What makes the different from a typical Gulf posting is the lifestyle infrastructure built around it. Modern healthcare, established international schools, and a genuinely multicultural environment that doesn't isolate workers the way some destinations can. Dubai alone has become something of an unofficial second home for a huge share of the Filipino diaspora. But the next country on this list is proving that opportunity isn't limited to the Middle East anymore. Country 8, Australia. Australia's shortage of skilled tradespeople isn't projected to ease anytime soon, and the government knows it, which is why skilled migration programs are actively being expanded to cover construction, mining, manufacturing, and maintenance roles. Here's the part that should catch your attention. Australian officials have specifically pointed to the Philippines' young population as a direct answer to the country's aging workforce problem. That's not a general hiring push, that's a targeted strategy. Employers are sponsoring overseas tradespeople directly, cutting out a lot of the guesswork that usually slows migration down. If a country is naming your country by name in its labor strategy, that's worth paying attention to. Number 7 takes things even further north. Country 7, Taiwan. Taiwan is no longer just about factory work. In April 2026, Taiwan's Intelligent Electronics Institute held a dedicated semiconductor career day in Manila, a direct acknowledgement that the Philippines produces over 80,000 engineering and technical graduates every year, and Taiwan wants them. This is a government-to-government agreement, not a private recruiter's promise, which means the pathway is more protected and predictable. Roles now range from factory technicians to electronic engineers, a real shift upward in what's on offer. And here's the practical bonus. Taiwan is close enough that flights home are short and frequent. Number 6 moves the story to a place built for something bigger than a single contract. Country 6, Canada. Canada isn't offering a job, it's offering a future. And that distinction matters. Between express entry, provincial nominee programs, and caregiver-specific pathways, Canada has built one of the clearest routes from arrival to permanent residency of any country on this list. Filipino Canadians already make up one of the largest immigrant communities in the country, which means new arrivals rarely start from zero. English proficiency also works heavily in Filipino applicants' favor under Canada's points system, often translating into a real, measurable advantage. This is the country parents specifically hope their kids end up choosing. Number 5 brings us back to the region that's long defined overseas Filipino work. Country 5, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 has reshaped the entire hiring landscape, shifting the focus toward verified skills over sheer volume. That means stricter qualification requirements, yes, but also better mobility and stronger protections once you're in. Construction, engineering, hospitality, automotive services, and industrial maintenance are all active hiring categories. And Philippine TESDA certifications are widely recognized by Saudi employers in the trades specifically. Saudi Arabia also remains home to one of the largest documented Filipino populations anywhere in the world, which means the support system on the ground is deep and established. Number 4 is where the math starts to get genuinely impressive. Country 4, Qatar. Qatar currently employs roughly 264,000 Filipino workers, concentrated heavily in construction and services. And that number keeps climbing as Qatar's National Vision 2030 drives demand for skilled roles in engineering, maintenance, and energy. Here's what sets Qatar apart from its neighbors. Because the country entered its development boom later than the employers there have to compete harder for talent, which has meaningfully pushed compensation packages upward. Demand is outweighing supply, and that imbalance works entirely in the workers' favor. Number 3 leaves the Gulf behind completely and heads into Europe's biggest legal migration experiment. Country 3, Italy. Italy just approved something unprecedented. Nearly 500,000 work visas for non-EU nationals across 2026 through 2028, under a new 3-year plan called the Decreto Flussi. That's not a typo, and it's not a one-year spike. It's a deliberate, multi-year commitment covering agriculture, tourism, domestic care, construction, and logistics. Roughly 13,600 of those visas in 2026 alone are specifically reserved for caregivers, a category the Philippines is globally known for. Countries with formal migration cooperation agreements with Italy get priority access, and that list is actively growing. This is Europe rewriting its own rulebook in real time. Number 2 might be the most consistent Filipino success story on this entire list. Country 2, Japan. As of October 2025, the number of Filipino workers in Japan hit a record 260,869, a 6.2% jump from the year before, with manufacturing absorbing the largest share. Japan's specified skilled worker visa has an official government target of bringing in more than 800,000 foreign workers across 14 industries, and it was built specifically to eliminate the year-long waits that used to define the old system. Add in strict government oversight of employer conduct and a flight home measured in hours, not days, and it's easy to see why this keeps growing every single year. But number 1 is the country making the boldest legal bet of them all. Country 1, Germany. Germany is staring down a projected shortfall of 16 million workers by 2060, and it has responded by rewriting its own immigration law from the ground up. Work visas issued jumped to 172,000 in 2024 alone, a 77% increase since 2021. And the EU Blue Card no longer requires German language proficiency at all under the newest reforms. The Opportunity Card now lets qualified applicants enter Germany for up to 12 months to search for work with no job offer required first, and thousands have already used it. No other country on this list has restructured its own legal system this aggressively just to bring foreign workers in the door. 10 countries, 3 continents, and one shared reality. The world isn't just hiring Filipino workers anymore. It's actively rebuilding its own laws to bring them in faster. So think back to that question from the start. Gulf, Europe, or Asia Pacific? Where would you actually go? Tell us in the comments. We're reading every single response. If this list gave you something worth knowing, hit like so it reaches more people, share it with someone weighing their options right now, and subscribe so the next one finds you the moment it's out. There's a lot more of this coming.